Hi there, it's Mark here. Welcome to Everyday English with E2. Each week, we focus on English grammar, vocabulary, spelling, or pronunciation. This week, we're focusing on a super important part of pronunciation called linking, or connected speech, which has a big impact on how easily you are understood. And that's your aim, to be easily understood. But before we understand linking, let me quickly remind you that you can take awesome English pronunciation courses at www.e2english.com. Sign up for free now. Okay, so what is linking? Well, the easiest way to explain this is by getting you to listen to this short phrase. I'm going to say it, however, in 3 different ways by changing the link. Ready? Tell me which one you think is correct. A. When I was young. B. When I was young. C. When I was young. One more time. A. When I was young. B. When I was young. C. When I was young. The correct answer is B. When I was young. It sounds weird and incorrect to say when I was young without linking the words together. It sounds a bit robotic and unnatural. So, what is linking? Well, it's all about how words in English link together when we speak. Sometimes students tell me that they really struggle to understand people when they're speaking in English, particularly native speakers or people with very high levels of English. Usually, linking is one of the main things my students need to really pay attention to when listening and when speaking. Being able to link words and short phrases together will allow you to speak faster and slower and maintain intelligibility. So if I talk really fast, I can still speak clearly and with specific meaning. But if I talk a bit slower, you can still understand me. And in both of these cases, my pronunciation remains clear. On an English test, I can speak both slowly and thoughtfully like this, or fast like this with energy and excitement, and get the same score in terms of pronunciation. So relax. Don't think that you have to speak fast in English. There's nothing wrong with slowing down and letting the words link nicely like this. The only hard part with linking is that sometimes you don't know what words you're going to say next. Well, the good news is you don't need to. A good place to focus is on those common groups of words, the ones we love to call chunks or collocations. Chunks or collocations are words that often come together. As my teacher trainer loved to call them, words with friends. Remember how I started this episode? When I was young. Well, that's a very common and useful chunk. Whether in a conversation with a new friend or you're halfway through your IELTS test, this chunk allows us to talk about important experiences we've had. Check it out. When I was young, on weekends, I loved to ride my bike through the forest. Let's break that down a bit. First, there's when I was young. So you'll notice that the N and I come together, when I. Then the I and the W come together, I was. And finally the S and Y come together, was young. So I encourage you to repeat that with me. When I was young. When I was young. When I was young. Now, there's plenty we could look at in this phrase, but I want to focus on 2 very important and very common things you'll hear in English. First, how we shorten the O sound in to. Listen up. I loved to ride. To ride. To ride. Say that after me. To ride. To ride. Notice it's not to ride. The O kind of disappears. It's not wrong to say to ride, but the next time you're listening to people speak in English, you'll hear that t sound a lot more with the word to. To go. To think. To dream. Try it with me. To go. To think. To dream. And finally, that last part of the sentence was through the forest. Listen to that. The forest. The sound in the almost disappears. Repeat it with me. The forest. The forest. The forest. I personally think that linking is more important than the specific sounds of the words when it comes to being understood easily. If I'm talking to a student and the student mispronounces a word, let's say the student says, when I was young, I used to take violin lessons instead of I used to take violin lessons. I can understand pretty easily what the student means, and the conversation can continue. But if a student speaks without linking and has pauses after every other word, I really have to listen carefully. Now, of course, if you're an English beginner, then this is fine. But if you've been learning English for a while, or maybe you've got a test or a presentation coming soon, then linking is really going to help you express your ideas more clearly. So, how do you improve your linking? Well, you listen, you pay attention to how people link words together, and then you practice it when you speak. It's that easy, and it's that hard. When I'm learning a language, I love to listen to podcasts in that language and imitate some of the ways that they link words together. And I give myself lots of time. You might improve your linking in a few days, but you'll definitely improve it in a few weeks and absolutely in a few months. Remember that if you need help with your English pronunciation, then check out E2 English's pronunciation courses by going to www.e2english.com. These courses will take you through all of the individual and cluster sounds of English so that you sound perfectly natural when you speak English. Check them out today. All right, let's do some practice. Listen to these chunks. These are common expressions that you might use with an English-speaking friend, or even in your IELTS or TOEFL test. Repeat after me. Most of the time. On the other hand. He's my best friend. She's my best friend. I never saw it. If I were you. Can I get a glass of water? It's to the left. It's to the right. It's not the same. All right, how did you go? Could you hear the way these words linked? If you found it challenging, don't worry. Practice makes perfect, and you can practice anytime you're listening to the radio or watching your favorite English language TV show. Let's try our phrases again. Most of the time. On the other hand. He's my best friend. She's my best friend. I never saw it. If I were you. Can I get a glass of water? It's to the left. It's to the right. It's not the same. Awesome! Well done! We just learned lots about linking and why it's so important that you work on it. Remember that if you need more practice, then head over to www.e2english.com for all of your English language needs. My name is Mark, and I'll see you soon.